Okay, my friends, this is about as shocking as it gets. A secret tomb discovered in one of archaeology's most famous wonders. And they're talking about Petra. And they say, in quotations, the discovery is of international significance. They had the ambassador from the United States there. They had all the officials from Jordan there, you know, in this excavation. Now, this is not the Treasury where they excavated, but Petra is just loaded with these same looking things, carved out of the same materials. Or I will explain about these materials that they are carved out of. And this, I think, is of extreme international significance. And I'd like to have it examined. What do you think? All right, so don't forget now, this is of international significance. The ambassador from the United States to Jordan showed up on the dig site. All of the top officials, you know, the head of archaeology and all these people, you know, it was a top end deal. And they dug right down in front of the Treasury here. I think it was about 20 feet deep. It was pretty deep. Don't quote me on that, but it was pretty deep. And they discovered 12 bodies. And it was kind of crazy because they weren't like in coffins or anything that I could see. They were just sort of laying in these like rooms almost. You'll have to watch their video on it. It's going to be, you know, this is an international thing. This is a whole world. It focuses on Petra. They understand Petra was a very, very significant place in ancient times. The Nabateans were here. Now, so that's where they dug down here. Now, the size of this thing is just incredible. You look at it and you say, oh, that's pretty impressive. Well, a person standing here would be somewhere about this tall. That's about it. And the doorway in there, I don't know how tall it is, but it's pretty darn tall. I'm going to show you a lot of detail about this. Now, how did they carve this? Did they bring stuff up here to make this? Like putty, like this clay or something? Or was it here and they carved it? Well, I'm going to go into the construction of this thing. This is what I understand. The bodies, that's fabulous. Understanding their culture, yes. No, that's good. It's up to them. But I do material, physical, geological, biological, geobiological, biogeological. I do this stuff here, right? Because that is biological, my friends. So here comes the shocker du jour. That is muscle sarcomeres. And that, my friends, was the artery packed with red blood that serviced these muscle tissues. Okay, I'm going to make my case right now. Here's what I want you to focus on. Do you see the texture of this right here? And then you see the texture of this? And they're all blocked like this. This is all scuffed up. But I'm going to show you they're almost, well, they're all like this originally. That's scuffed up and scuffed up. Now, you see how there's like layers in between every one of those blocks? It's just like almost like a brick. Maybe they put a brick up there. What do you think about that? Maybe that's a brick. And they put a layer here, and then they put a brick on top of that. And then they put a layer here and put a brick on top of that. Because they are all, I mean, they're all the way up. You see it? That, and then a layer, and a block, and a layer, a brick. Now, is that what they did? And what did they do here? Because you see them all blocks, block. All right, take your time and pay attention to the details. Because you don't see that here. These blocks are not here. Quite obviously, you don't see that running across these blocks. Totally different situation here. Either they put in putty here, you know, and build these up or whatever, construct it and then plastered over all the construction, whatever they did, I don't know. Maybe they chopped up, put a chop right in there and chopped out a big chunk and then brought a whole bunch of putty in there. Maybe they did that. Or just built a nice structure in here to make it something fancy looking. And then they puttied over it and and carved it up fancy. But you can see there's no question whatsoever. This is the structural wall. Now, is it natural or was it constructed in these layers? And why would they do that, this and something like that? Just think about these little details. But it is gorgeous. There is no question about that. And I'll show you what's inside of there, and I'll show you what's above this. And by the time I'm done, I think you'll understand that is muscle sarcomeres, just as this is muscle sarcomeres. All right, you're going to think this is insane, but it's true. This is muscle fibers. These are little blocks of muscles. They're called sarcomeres. That literally could be Petra. That's the blood supply. And these little canyons could be where they're driving the camels through. But somewhere there's going to be a lot of blood supplying all of these muscle. Muscle takes a lot of blood. And there's going to be one spot which ended up being an artery, which was Petra, and could be just like that. And then the blood goes all the way around, and it services all these muscle fibers everywhere. There's a million zillion fibers of muscle there, and they take a ton of blood. These are the fibers that are at Petra, and I'll show you the big shot at Petra. You can't. It's undeniable, and it could be tested easily. Well, I'm just telling you. Just imagine this now. That is just an artery, and blood has to flow through all of these little areas, and these are sarcomeres. All of this whole thing is sarcomeres. You see, this is all just like I just showed you a second ago. And that is the blood supply. And this is where the blood flows in between the tissues to service all this. You know how much blood you take in your body? I was shocked when I discovered how much your heart pumps in 1 minute. If you're in a really exercising, you can pump up to 6 gallons of blood a minute through your body, just because your muscles just absorb it like crazy. Look at all these sarcomeres. Now, what's up above Petra? There's connective tissue. Here's the key. Here's the whole shot. You see all this? This is where blood flows through the body of whatever creature it was. I have no idea. And up at the top here, it connected probably to either it was skin up at the top here, or it connected to some connective tissue. And I believe it's connective tissue, because I'll show you up above here, there is a lot of connective tissue up here, and that's not normally in muscle. Although muscle does go to somewhere. You know, it has to, a muscle pulls on something, so it has to have connective tissue. But it also lays underneath your skin, and the skin can cover it. You have different layers on top, and then you have your muscles underneath there that sort of run rope like this. Now, is this rope like that? I guess it is rope like this, as a matter of fact. Now, you know, I never even thought about that. I believe it is rope like this, now that I'm thinking. Let's look at it closer. All right, I think we can do the investigation here. These are the blocks right here, right next to the Treasury that I showed you. And there's sarcomeres, and there's the plane here and a plane above it, which is the membranes, and then the sarcomeres in between, so they're pinching this way. All right, they're not pinching this way. So this is a pinch this way of all of these. No pinch this way. So don't forget, pinch this way. Let's look real close at it again, and then look at the anatomical, because I believe this rope goes that way. And in that case, up above here would be more or less skin, I would think. Although I'm looking up here and I'm seeing connective tissue. Let's take a look. Yeah, as far as I can determine, that's a rope structure, because it would pull this way. These are sarcomeres, they pull in. And don't forget, remember the textures, that scruffy looking stuff and then the smooth looking stuff? When they pull together, that's a contracted muscle. A relaxed muscle, you see the side-by-side colors. And then there's a layer of membrane on the top and the bottom. And that's exactly what we see over at Petra. Identical. So these are the blocks, and they pull this way. Don't forget, we're not pulling this way. All right, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, there's absolutely no question that it's laying down this way because it's pulling this way. You see the two of them, they're going to pull together. That's the layer above, the layer, that they're, you see it? You can see they cut right into it. Now, these little notches here are to let the air flow out, I think, so that it could dry out in there. They had to do this when it was semi-moist, I would think. And all the things I cut down in Peru and all that, the whole world was flooded at one time. It's just a fact. It was all recorded in history. There's no mystery here. We just have ignored it. And some creatures were here that had fabulous technology that made use of all of these body parts that were from giant creatures. Just what it was. And down in South America, all those big, beautiful walls that are all like they look like they're glued together. There's no space in between them. They were all body parts that came off of primarily tendon, and then they just cut them and placed them up on the walls. And they needed some serious technology to do that. And I have found that there are giant machinery tracks in that, cutting those slabs out. And it's down in South America. I have a lot of details on that too. I get a lot of people all around the world send me things because I'm one of the few people that's been talking about this stuff, real openly. Because I'm sort of annoyed that humanity cannot accept reality. It's just stunning to me. But anyway, let's get off that case. This is muscle. This is an artery. Now, let's see what an artery, let's see what's inside the treasury. Because I'm telling you, that's an artery, and it fit all this. And I'm telling you, muscle takes a ton of blood. You want to see how much blood it takes? Let me show you. Don't forget the sarcomeres. And don't forget they pull this way. All right, this is a rock. All right, and that's the surface up here. I believe that's skin, and that's basically below the skin. And then you get into the muscle, and the muscle pulls this way. That's a rope style. This is all blood. That's how much blood it takes. And there's huge arteries that supply. This is just the feeder blood. Somewhere up here, there's a huge artery supplying all this blood through those canyons. These are like the canyons. Actually, they're not like the canyons. These are the tiny little sarcomeres, and these are rope sarcomeres, so they pull this way. But it's basically what we're looking at Petra is virtually the same thing. And there's cavities through here. You see it? These are how they can run through here to travel between these fibers. Now, there was connective tissue above Petra, though. That sort of got me a little crazy, but, well, let's take a look at it. All right, this is, I believe, almost directly above Petra. I could be wrong about that, but I know it's in that area. And it's no question this is connective tissue. So the muscle was anchoring to something up in here. And these, probably these were like those balls, the tendon enthesis, they call it. They're not here now, but I don't know what they did here. They chopped things up and made rooms out of it or whatever they did. But this is in that area. So that sort of took me for a little loop here. But if you look at what muscle looks like, here's muscle. All right, let's just look at this. And these are the little sarcomeres. They pull this way, and that's what the muscles do. Now, there's some, of course, there's connective tissue up here. Can you see that? That's a little kind of small, but I can't get any bigger than that. There's going to be connective tissue attaching to the muscle somewhere. Well, we've got it up above. Maybe. Like I say, I don't know about that other picture exactly where that was from, but it was absolutely no question it's connective tissue. All those white fibers coming in with all the red fibers, which they connect. They're connective tissues. And then in the muscle itself, it also has these connective tissue parts so that the whole thing moves together as a bundle. And mostly the upper and lower layer, as I showed you before here. Hold on. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that these are primarily the connective tissues. And this is the stuff that pulls together. These are really kind of tough. And that's why the muscles can pull together and still be strong. And that, let's look inside, and I'll show you the blood. It's just, and it can be tested. I know. I got to be honest with you. I was a little afraid to speak about this because this. What was this from? Was this some kind of dragon creature or something? I don't know. But it certainly wasn't a human being, or it could have been just absolutely enormous giant titan or who knows what. But absolutely no question whatsoever. These are sarcomeres. I don't care what anybody says. They can be tested, and I'm going with that. Like I say, this worried me, but I did look up in the ancient text. It does say, Jesus said, there's nothing that's hidden that won't be uncovered, and there's nothing that's buried that won't be dug up, something like that. I'm going with Jesus. Let's look inside the treasury. Okay, my friends, shocker du jour again. This is where blood fed into this tissue here. This is inside the treasury, somewhere in the rooms inside the treasury. And these are good-sized rooms. And as you can see, this is connective tissue working its way and being fed with blood. What it is what it is. I cannot change that. But I can show it. And will this have a difference on your opinion of our history? I would think so. It did to me. Now, Petra's not the only place that the sarcomeres are shown very obviously. And here's what happened in another area on Earth just recently. This is the red blood I showed you that feeds the sarcomeres, which are the muscle tissue. Now these are blocky, and as I showed you, and they can crack, and as you can see, they can break and all that stuff. Now, if the blood ran out of there and you had cavities in here, like caves, in muscle tissue that was rope style going this way, it would collapse. And that's exactly what happened in Turkey. Exactly what happened. Take this and turn it sideways this way. And all that blood that's holding this up here ran out. Now you got all cavities where this was. So now, so if it was running downhill and it all ran out running down the hill, that's what happened in Turkey. And here was the consequence. Here it is right here. These are sarcomeres. These are also muscle sarcomeres, and they're fed with red blood, and of course they have the membranes between the sarcomeres. And that's what that was. Now, this is an olive grove, runs downhill. Underneath, and I had some other shots showed it better, but I can't find it. There was some big layers of red blood, and they just ran right out. And when those cavities were there, all of a sudden this whole area just collapsed. It wasn't an earthquake that split open. It was just a collapse. And there's these guys standing over here looking down saying, wow, what happened over here? Well, the blood ran out. You see, that's blood. And when down in the bottom, there'd be huge amounts of blood, and they'd just run out because it's on a downhill slope. And then when it's gone, all right, so there's sarcomeres, 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 and here's a heart. That's the heart attack. It's ripped. The sarcomeres are ripped. They should be like this. And this is exactly identical to what they just brought back from asteroid Bennu. It's exactly the same thing. And it has 2 layers of phosphates, which they said, phosphate surprise, nobody ever expected this. Well, it's because it's layered on top of the sarcomeres. And you see the sarcomeres, no question whatsoever. Chemistry's there too. It's all there 100%. All you have to do is look at it. And so far, I haven't been able to make contact with anybody that will examine it. Okay, so, I mean, I like Josh Gates, and I like the idea of Petra being looked at, and it's all international, and boy, this is fabulous, they found these skeletons. Well, that's fabulous, but I think this deserves a little more attention. And this is what an artery looks like. You ever know, you see how structured this artery is, on all these layers? And they have all these little special names and stuff. You see it? Well, let me show you something. I have one here. It's the same, only it's a little bigger than ours. And here it is right here. That's the size of it right there. Here it is. That's an artery, my friend. And that is it right there. I had to shave off a little on the end here and polish it up a little bit so that I could see it in the microscope. And that's it. And it's packed with blood. And all they did was, this was here. Hold on, let me back this out so I can do a demonstration. Hold on, let me turn the light on so we got some light. Boom, let there be light. Okay, boom. Now, what do we got? We got Petra. Originally, it was just a wall of muscle with an artery coming out the bottom. That's all, and they chopped around to the sides, and so you got some of this on the edges, but primarily you got just a big blood blob in the center that's coming down, and that's where they carved out of the center. Now this side's pretty well eroded, but this is just blood in there. That's all that is blood. That's an artery. Now ours are a little smaller than that, but they're constructed identically the same. Identical, no difference whatsoever. When I started to look at this in a microscope, it's absolutely no, and even the bumps and everything on there. I mean, it's so unbelievably exact. It's incredible. It's just, so what I'm getting at is this is reality that we're looking at here. If you could see it, maybe I didn't even have it in view, but that is it right there. All right, that's the deal. And that's this. This side is eroded quite a bit. This side was, you know, I drilled some in here, but that's what it is. That's what they did at Petra. They just did that, and around the edges was muscle. As you can see, I mean, it's not hard to understand once you know what you're looking at. Let's get the back off. See it? There's the artery right there. This whole thing was an artery. And they chiseled out to the edge of where the blood was. And the rest is just nothing but sarcomeres. And these channels here, they didn't cut those. Those are just natural, and I show that in this one too, in the blood shot here. Wherever that is, right here. They're going to be in here. That's how the blood flows around. And it matches up with all these muscle tissue to give it energy. And I believe that's a big shot right there. Could be just like Petra, where the blood was coming out. You see? I believe that's right where there would be an artery, right in that area. And that's just a big scab of blood there. And in the case of Petra, it's just all accumulated there in one big blob. Now, as I think it over, I would imagine it filled that whole cavity there. In other words, when they came across it, well, here, this whole area here would have been just blood, basically. Because it would have come out and sort of congealed right at this ball. And you can see there's a little layer at the bottom where it's settled. blood will settle, and there'll be a layer where you see, it's just like a layer of material. Here it is right here. You see that right there? That's basically towards the bottom of the artery. Now, I would like to know, when they excavated 20 feet down, is it still sarcomeres down there, or what's underneath? What is underneath here? Because they did. I think they went down 20 feet. So that is of international interest, I would think. What is it still sarcomeres? We got to get past the point of hiding from this. We got to get into reality. You want to talk about reality? You got to be in reality. Either that or just walk around in circles and giggle all day long, have a wonderful time. Now, this is what's confused me. This is connective tissue, and again, that is on the end of these ropes. It's not above the ropes. And I originally thought that this picture, that picture there, was at the top of Petra, which was like right up here, which it would not be. I don't think. No, because if I can see the sarcomeres still continuing here and up here. You would not have connective tissue like that in between sarcomeres. So the picture that I saw is not here. All right, so I don't think. I don't know. I'd like to have somebody take a drone and look up here and see what's up in here. And how does it connect at the top? I think it's skin. And I think there's a layer up here which you can see is not the same specifically as down here. And I think it might be skin up at the top, but it's hard to tell. These are the kind of things that, international team of experts should take a look. But these are not, look at this. These say scientists had known this for a very long time. This was plankton. That's not plankton. That's muscle fibers. Those are muscle fibers, and this is, the red is servicing, well, the red is probably part of the sarcomeres. I have one here, right here, in my shop, and that's right here. This is the rock, and here's a better shot of it, nice color. But what it originally was is there's a bone here, and attached to a tendon right here, which always goes from a bone to a tendon, gives you a little bit of flex, and then you got your muscle, and that's the muscle. All right, and above this is skin. Well, let's look at this one here. It makes it easier. Up at the top is just basically skin. Then below the skin, you got a whole lot of, fleshy stuff, and then you go down into the muscle. And this is where all that red blood's coming from. You see, these are arteries. That's an artery, and they're all putting red blood down into this, which ends up running out into become really good muscle. Here it's still got a lot of connective tissue. But this brown part, that's a solid tendon. And I mean tendon has virtually no blood at all. That's why this, you see it start to get pink? That's where the muscle is. And that's this block here. Just the bone is over here. I didn't bother to show the bone. I want to show the tendon, attachment to the muscle, the abrupt transition, the glue, so forth. And so I have just about everything that I ever speak about. I have examples of it here, and most of it I have microscope shots, and I have bones, and but they turn to mudstone. Mudstone is what's caused by nucleophilic invasion. These things were literally boiled at one time. I can explain all of this. We almost got hit by what ended up being Venus. This was all recorded and not that long ago. When you're looking at this stuff, Petra, you think, thousands of millions of years ago. No. This was only not even 3,000 years ago. They made that. I think they're even talking like 600 BC, something like that. I can't remember. Don't quote me on these things, but it's not. I remember thinking that's not even 3,000 years ago. Well, So when did this disastrous flood occur? According to Velikovsky, it was about 1500 BC. So that's 3,700 years ago. And this is all the aftermath of that cataclysm that wiped out all the giants. And they were giant creatures. I don't care who says what. There's no way for anybody to dismiss this now. It's absolutely undeniable in any world. I don't care where you live. All was written about through every culture. Now, what does this mean? This is where I'm at the point of really digging deep into the meaning. And I'm going back to who was considered the creator God. What was it all about this? Because there's a lot of things about Yaldabaoth and Pistis Sevilla and Gaia and Uranus and all of these ancient gods, Jupiter and Zeus and all of them. I've been looking into all of that stuff, and I cannot discount much of it at all anymore. Typhon, the gigantic dragon that's in the desert, shown them hundreds of times. And this stuff cannot be examined because of the mindset, not because of the validity of it. The validity of it is undeniable. It's the mindset of the people that have dictated our knowledge base. And our knowledge base is a little bit swishy. So let's get this figured out. All I'm saying is if 12 skeletons draws international acclaim and our ambassador shows up there, well, what about these kind of veins and arteries coming out of huge places in the earth? How big are the creatures that had these things? This is in Iceland, I believe. But we got bigger ones than that around here. They're everywhere. They are everywhere. Nobody's had their eyes open wide enough to see it. Just a fact. So now, how do we deal with this? And I am going to be having an open discussion, because we need to discuss this stuff. You can't just have two people over here talking, two people over there talking. We got to open this up to a wide audience. And let's talk about it, because this is not just hills and valleys. You see that? That's biology. Everywhere was biology. I can't find anything that wasn't biology, even like Asteroid Bennu. It's back here on Earth, a piece of it, and it is biology. No question whatsoever. It's heart sarcomeres with 2 layers of phosphates, which are membranes. And they know this. And to refuse to discuss it, which I've been trying to get somebody to talk to me. And they say, oh, we're going to make it available to everybody to take a look at this stuff. We're really examining it. It's been here for a year. I knew what it was before it came back. I said, if you see it, here's what you're going to find. No discussion whatsoever on that front, my friends. So, what do you take away from that? We have to make our open discussion in the open era of freedom of discussion. I am suppressed now, so I don't have freedom of speech. I don't care how you define freedom of speech. In an open society where everybody, they can put a couple of kittens up there and get 100,000 hits, and I put this kind of information out and I get a couple of hundred hits, a couple of thousand tops. I got 200,000 subscribers, but it's all. They're telling me they don't get the notifications, they can't find me, and I can't even find myself half the time. That's just the way life is now. Anyway, I don't know, my friends. But what I have shown, and again, I was worried about showing this. I said that this is scary stuff. This is scary to most people. I don't blame you, it is scary. But I did see what Jesus said. There is nothing that is hidden that will remain hidden. Nothing. Now, so nothing is nothing to me. That means everything is everything. So this is everything, and I'm going to show you everything. And the things that I have found is just shocking for sure. And like I say, 100% of the earth is biology. And Jesus said that too. He said the earth is a corpse. He said all of the things that I'm talking about were written in the ancient texts as well as being visible in front of your little very eyes. If you can open your eyes big enough, and your mind has to follow your eyes. But you got to open your eyes and see what's in front of you. Otherwise, you're just walking around in circles, my friend, and being led to believe whatever somebody wants to tell you to believe, which is mainstream geology and history and, you know, all of this stuff. And they don't want you talking about God in there, but I'm going to tell you something. There's God's going on here. And I got a whole set of opinions on that, which I will make very well understood. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not hiding anything at all. And I'm not trying to make you think anything that you don't think. But I know that virtually everything that I'm presenting here is unknown. Right? That's impactful, my friends. If you don't know, how do you make a decision on what you don't know? And that's what we're told to say. You say this, and that means you're smart. No. It means you don't know, so you say what somebody told you to say. I would rather figure out what's right for myself, and I think now you have the ability to figure it out for yourself. All you have to do is look and see. If you can't look and see, then follow your leader, and they will tell you what to do. All right? I love you all. All right, I just asked, did Jesus say nothing will be hidden? It says yes. Jesus recorded saying that nothing will remain hidden in several passages. And they go on to elaborate them. But basically is whatever is hidden is meant to be disclosed, and whatever is concealed is meant to be brought out into the open. So there are no secrets. There shall be no secrets, basically. That's the way I'm taking that. Okay, I just showed you biology is what the Earth is made out of, and also everything else in space, as far as I could determine, is biological as well. I see nothing but biology. Okay, I think I've just shown you a lot of biology, and that is my claim. There is nothing but biology. And I asked, did Jesus say Earth is a corpse? I said, yes. This is my friend Chat GPT. It's in the Gospel of Thomas, which is non-canonical. It's a Gnostic text. And this was found in the Nag Hammadi text. Now, these were buried scriptures that were written during the time of Jesus being alive and hidden and buried. So they hadn't been messed around with or changed, or anybody distorted them or anything, because they were found in 1945. So this is the original texts that were written. I look to those to see if I can find any truth in them, and I have, absolutely. Because Jesus said, it's non-canonical. It's not in the regular Bible. So who cares? I look at everything, and I match up what makes sense. And this makes sense. It's saying that the earth is a corpse. Gospel is a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus, and stored in the ground back then. Never changed. Some of which are quite different. Yes, very much different from what is found in the regular Bible text. A specific saying I'm talking about is saying 56 in the Gospel of Thomas. Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a corpse. The world. Now, is the world the earth? I have another guy telling me, no, he means the world, the people. Or the world, I don't know what he meant. But I'm taking the world is the earth. Whoever has come to know the world or the earth has discovered a corpse. Yes, I just showed you it, basically. And whoever has discovered a corpse, of that person, the world is not worthy. Well, that's nice. Now, they make it sound like it's just metaphorical, and all that. They're just making, it symbolizes this and so forth, the material existence. Well, maybe. And then I also said, did Jesus say we are children of light? I said, yes. Jesus recorded in the New Testament as saying that believers are children of the light. And then they go on to, it's just metaphorical again. No. If you read the Gnostic text, it has a whole different interpretation of children of the light. We literally come from the place where the light, well, let me just read you the passage. All right, just to give you a little context here, this is the Nag Hammadi text. And these were discovered in 1945, stored in jars since Jesus was walking on the face of the planet. And it says, these are the secret sayings that the living Jesus spoke and doubting Thomas recorded. And he said, if you understand what's going on with these texts, the interpretations of these texts, you will not taste death. Well, they're pretty hard to understand. But it says, Jesus said, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. Well, when they find, they will be disturbed. And when they are disturbed, they will marvel and will reign over all. After they have reigned, they will rest. Well, I don't know about all that stuff, but I'm telling you, you will be disturbed and you will marvel if you have any sense in your mind. Now, number 50 is about us being the light. Look at this. He didn't just say, oh, metaphorically, we're looking for the bright side of the light, that type of thing. No, he said this. Jesus said, if they say to you, where have you come from? Where do you come from? Say to them, we have come from the light, from the place where the light came into being by itself. It established itself and appeared in their image. I have to go with the sun. That's the only place I know of around here that light just manifests by itself. Listen to this. Just listen to exactly what it says. If they say, where have you come from? We have come from the light, from the place where light came into being by itself, just automatically. That's where it happens from the sun. It established itself and appeared in their image. Well, it established itself in particles all over this area, and then appeared in their image, became matter, basically. If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children, the children of the light, and we are the chosen of the living Father. In other words, there's particles of light everywhere. Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. We somehow got chosen, our particles of light got chosen to become life. So we are its children. We are the chosen. That comes with responsibilities. You don't get chosen and just say, okay, just have a good time, don't worry about it. I think it comes with responsibilities. And we're chosen by the living Father. If they ask you, where is the evidence of your Father in you? Say to them, it is motion and rest. Motion is light. It's energy. It's vibration, it's sound, it's heat, it's motion. Rest is when you turn into matter and it's just like the earth. It's resting. It's no longer in motion. It's no longer giving off energy and so forth. Although that could be taken in a lot of ways. But anyway, that's the motion and rest part. You take it how you want, but the rest is very, very obvious. We are children of the light. We came from where it manifests itself. It just came into being all by itself. That is a sun or a star. And 56 is the other one. Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass. Whoever has discovered a carcass of that person, the world is not worthy. Now there's another one, 80 I think it is, about the body. Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered the body. Yes, the world is literally a body or a bunch of bodies. Whoever has discovered the body of that one, the world is not worthy. This is, in other words, once you understand, you have to understand to understand. You can't understand until you understand. And before you can understand, you have to open your eyes enough to understand what you really see. So it's all about understanding everything. But you can't start from saying, well, I understand because my professor told me. That's all nonsense. So I don't look at that stuff. No, you have to seek until you find. Then you're going to be damn disturbed. I tell you, that's just a fact. Because this is disturbing stuff. And it is scary stuff. And it's confrontational to a lot of people's belief systems. And it's very disturbing to a lot of people, and very, very off-putting to a lot of people. They find it offensive to be confronted with this, and it's both sides. Because I showed the evidence, as I showed you all the physical evidence of the Earth being body parts. That kills academics right off the start. Boom, done, stay away from me. Then the believers in a specific type of religious, affiliation, they're just exactly down that line, they can't take it either, because it changes things in that realm as well. It changes everything. So until you have an open mind and you're able to understand what you see without putting a spin on it and trying to make it twist into your belief system, you just look at it and say, well, what do I see? What does it mean? And by the time I was at the end of everything, and I'm not at the end yet, and you never get to the end of it, trust me, you will never, ever, 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 ever get to the end of this. But at this point, I now am a firm believer that Jesus was sent by God, who was a supreme God, not Zeus, Jupiter, who was the ruler in charge at this particular time, who was really the bad god. He was a sexual god that they talk about coming down, being thrown to earth because he went against the rules. And then they had the giants, and then all kind of mess after that. But my point being, Jesus, I think, is just exactly as advertised. He came here to warn us, and he said, I'm going to show you, and I am going to forfeit my life, and I'm going to show you how brutal they can be. And here's what's going to happen to you if you don't do what I'm instructing you for. Turn your life around, straighten out, repent, think about it, get some compassion, get some understanding, and learn from this worldly experience, because this is a material experience. And there's a lot of texts that say this isn't even supposed to be here. We shouldn't be material beings. We should be the pure light. And when he talks about us being the light, there's pure bright light, and then there's dark light, and they travel together. I'm not kidding you. Everything you see here is black and white at the same time, and you don't see the black. You never saw the darkness, but I've shown it because I've seen all this stuff. I've seen it all, and you can see it too. I've shown it a million times. The black and white particles tied together are light. We come from the light. We are part of the light. But some of the light is good and some of the light is dark. Is that bad? I don't know. You see, I said there's black and white matter. And this is the brilliant light. This is red, but white light comes in all the colors at the same time, is a brilliant white, but it is still attached to a black. And this is the brilliant white when it explodes and separates from the black. Maybe we're not supposed to be attached to the black. This is light. This is light streaming through. This is light in motion, not at rest. All right, and this is light when it separates and we become the brilliant white light separated from the black. Is that good? Is this what we want to be and not attached to the black? Maybe that's what Jesus was talking about. They always talk about you want to become the brilliant white light. That's what I always find. Asteroid ice to the emergence of Earth, life on Earth. No, the asteroids are life. Only they're dead now. You see that? They know what's going on. I've been reporting on this for 10 years. This is Bennu. They have a sample of this back here on Earth. It's a heart. And that's what a heart is when you pull off the plumbing. I've shown this so many times. And all the plumbing is glued to the bottom part of the heart. It's just glued. It breaks off and you can see the valves. That's psyche, another heart. They're all over. The body parts everywhere. Comet 67P is a hip joint. Omaro is a finger. And these are all body parts in space. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. And this is what they came back with, and that's the muscle sarcomeres. I think I showed you the ones from Petra, the same things. And the layers here are that layer above and below are the layers that sandwich the sarcomeres, I showed you that. And this is muscle from a heart, which they went out there, spent billions and billions of dollars, brought it back, and it's been over a year. They have no idea what they're looking at. It's muscle, and the phosphate surprise. They said, we can't understand why there's phosphate layers here. Well, it's because it's a membrane. Membranes are made out of phospholipids. They turn into phosphates, and that right there is identical to the stuff that's at Petra, right here. And there's that phosphate layer in between. All of this stuff can be checked, even the chemistry. I'm sure you're going to find that there's a different chemistry here than there is here. It's just what it's going to be. Now, if, you know, I'm a chemical guy, I'm a physical scientist, I understand, I can look at things and understand. That's a tube coming out. That's not a crater. That's a tube coming out, not a crater. These are valves, not just impact craters. This is the transition colors of oxidation states of blood, because this was a heart. This is the tendon that locks the muscle into the fabric of the heart and the structure of the heart. The other stuff was just glued on the top. Basically, the valve structure just breaks off. And I see it many times. I've shown, I have hearts here, the same thing. I have them complete with it, and I have them without it. They break off here. So that's what's in space. Same stuff. They have the sample right here on Earth. There's no question whatsoever they can test this in 10 minutes and say one way or the other, Roger's right, Roger's wrong. I reported on this before they even came back with it. I said, when they come back with it, it's going to be a heart. It's going to have this, and I listed all the chemistry that's in blood. And there is virtually every transition metal, because that's how your blood works, is what they call ligands attached to central metal cores, and they drag things around through your body with charged particles. They drop them off where the charge accepts it better, and then they take something else on, they bring it back, clean it up, and go back and do the same thing over and over. That's what blood does. That's why you have these oxidation states, the colors. And here's the colors again, one more time. You see black? That's vein blood. Yellow is the transition state. Red is primarily artery blood. And you're going to have all that inside the heart, because it's transferring one, going through the other, and all kinds of gobbling around. All right, remember before I showed you this and I said it breaks off right at the plumbing, just breaks off. This is what you end up with, this right here. This is where the heart valves are. These are where the valves are, right here. And of course you have most of the rest of the stuff, but all this plumbing, off it goes. And that's what you end up with, is what you're seeing right there, basically. That stuff goes. It's glued on there. All right, you see that? That's a tube coming out of there. That's a tube. That's coming out. That's not an impact. And all of these basically are blood areas where they were at the surface, and they were so heated that they exploded and popped out. Like these are popped out red blood. You see the black, the yellow, and the red? Anybody that understands mud fossils knows that's the colors of blood. Anybody that understands iron oxidation knows it as well. It's red, orange, and black. Now, remember I told you I had a friend that found a heart and cracked it open, and it was still wet blood inside it? Well, here it is. Unfortunately, it was Phil Harris, unfortunately passed away. There it is right there. And here's the different colors of the blood. Now, he saw this rock. Now, again, he passed away, so I can't get any more information anymore, but he saw the rock, and he saw this red spot, and he whacked it with a hammer, and it separated right along that line. And this side had the red blood in it. It must have been down. I never really got to talk to him much about it, but this side must have been down, and the other side I will show you is off like this. If you put it back on top of here, you're going to see it would run out this way. And the other side is almost all blacked out, except their very edge. All right, so the red blood ran down and must have puddled down here, and there must have been some kind of a tiny, tiny little air gap. That's the only thing I can take from it, because here's the other part of the heart. This one here is, he just put his hand in there, is red blood. And here's the other side, which is not red blood, but that one little spot there was still basically attached, and that's where that little red spot was on the side. He whacked it, and it came out. Now, you can see where the tubes are running out here. Those are those tubes that run out. It's just like a regular heart tubes. You see it? Look. You see them? They come out of here and they go out. And it broke right off here. We can see down, and that's where he puddled his finger in there. And these go out, and we can see all the little tube spots. This is not, it's not hard to understand. And if you took this and put it up on top of the other one, that's where the heart was. That's what he found. And he freaked out when and this was, I was putting out what I called a 15-minute challenge. And I said to everybody that was watching my stuff, I said, 15 minutes, you're going to find something. I guarantee it. If you look correctly, you're going to find something. 15 minutes, he found that. Tish Egerton found all new species of feet from no-toes. You know, there is a lot of different no-toes, but she went on 15 minutes and found absolutely stunning stuff, stunning. And this is the kind of stuff that's denied by academics. So, you know, I don't like to complain and grumble and rah, 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 all the time, but what are you going to do if you're denied reality? And that means the whole world. This isn't just me. I'm trying to present what I want somebody to analyze it, especially this. That costs us billions and billions of dollars. That is a heart muscle, sarcomeres, with layers of phospholipids, and that is a heart muscle sarcomere assembly with layers of phospholipids that came back from Comet Bennu, or Asteroid Bennu. Before they even came back, I said, I know what it is, it's a heart. And there's no anatomist on the entire face of the planet could deny that. It is absolutely 100% for certain a heart, as you can see right there. And so is psyche. And to deny these kind of things and spend these kind of billions of dollars, and then they're sending another probe out to do this, another probe to do that. Why don't you take a look at what's reality before you start just you know, doling out the cash? Basically, that's what I'm seeing now. I'm seeing a denial of reality for funding. And it's across the board. And the politicians are just as bad. Well, they're worse. But it starts there. It starts everywhere now. It's, I don't know. Like I say, I don't want to be a downer for everybody, but I think we should start looking at the ancient texts and find out what they did say about how people would act. And they're acting exactly as they would say. They're doing exactly what they said they're going to do, and they are doing it right now.